I really had to have a huge like mindset shift instead of like, oh, I have to go back and do the indies and into like, oh, I get to go back and like rewrite my path.
What about for you, Steph? Like, I mean, when you get released from NXT, it's like you're just kind of, I'm sure that you had envisioned what your future would look like. And then in an instant, it's like, no, it won't. It's going to look completely different. And you might not have any idea what that looks like. Was that a scary thing when you first got put into the wild and been like, no, you're kind of on your own now?
Yeah. I mean, it was like I had spent some time on the indies in Australia, which are very different to the indies in America. I'd done a couple of tours on the indies in America, but not much. So then when I got released, it was kind of this like super shock to the system. And I was digging my heels in and I didn't want to do it. And it was evident in every way. Like the last thing you want to do is go back to the indies when you just signed your dream job and, you know, given this money and promises of more money and WrestleManias and belts and this and that. And then all of a sudden.
Championships.
Championships. But yeah, to go from all
you did learn a lot.
To go from all of that to then, you know, getting shut out the back end into the indies again, you're just like, what's going on? So then I kind of had to, and I felt it in myself, and I knew that it wasn't connecting, and I wasn't enjoying myself, and because I did a few shows because I had to for my visa, and I just was like, this isn't it. Like, I love wrestling, but I hate wrestling right now, and I don't want to like rage quit and just fully give it up. So I took like 6 months off, which was like a strategic break, and I was like, I need to learn to love this again. I need to miss it. I need to like step away and figure out who I am and what I'm going to be. So I had 6 months off. And then when I came back, it was like, right, just before I kind of met him, then I sat down, I wrote out my, you know, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year and lifetime goals of like, what do I want to achieve? And honestly, I knew a big part of that was GCW. Because when you look around, like GCW is the biggest indie, you know, and even in WWE, you can see it. Everyone knows GCW is the place to be on the indies. But for me, that was daunting because I hate deathmatch wrestling. The Death Match Queen hates death matches. I'm terrified of it. I hate it. I can't even watch it. So I was like, where do I fit in this deathmatch company?
You didn't even watch deathmatch.
No, I hate it. I was standing at the merch table. I couldn't watch it. Like, I hate it. So I was like, where do I fit in? But then I realized like, oh, I fit in by being the opposite of what everyone else is. Like, we are the, you know, sports entertainers on a deathmatch indie show. And that's the whole shtick. And also the locker room is awesome. Like, the people are great. Like, I really had to have a huge like mindset shift instead of like, oh, I have to go back and do the indies and into like, oh, I get to go back and like rewrite my path, and I get to go and do all these things that I couldn't do while I was in WWE. So I really had to change the way I was looking at things.